I was given a book. A few months ago when I was doing laundry. It's some type of new edition Bible, I guess. I'll read from the book of Joshua. I like reading the Old Testament from time to time. So hopefully I won't catch fire when I'm quoting some things to you. Joshua chapter 3, I believe, when Israel took the ark and crossed the Jordan. The Jordan was a river, by the way. Anyone with any Google Maps or what have you will look at such places and things and find that, hey, that's a river. Anyway, rivers are usually deep and wide. So anyway, and Joshua said unto the people, sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you. And Joshua spake unto the priests, saying, take up the ark of the covenant, and pass over before the people. And they took up the ark of the covenant, and went before the people. And the Lord said unto Joshua, this day will I begin to magnify thee in the sight of all Israel, that they may know that as I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. And thou shalt command the priests that bear the ark of the covenant, saying, when ye are come to the brink of the water of Jordan, ye shall stand still in Jordan. Joshua said unto the children of Israel, come hither and hear the words of the Lord your God. Joshua said, hereby ye shall know that the living God is among you, and that he will without fail drive out from before you the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Hivites, and the I can't read that word, the Perizzites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Jebusites, and behold, the ark of the covenant of the Lord of all the earth passeth over before you into Jordan. Now therefore take you 12 men out of the tribes of Israel, out of every tribe a man. And it shall come to pass, as soon as the soles of the feet of the priests that bear the ark of the Lord of all the earth, shall rest in the waters of Jordan, that the waters of Jordan shall be cut off from the waters that come down from above, and they shall stand upon an heap. And it came to pass, when the people removed from their tents to pass over Jordan, and the priests bearing the ark of the covenant before the people, and as they that bear the ark were come unto Jordan, the feet of the priests that bear the ark were dipped in the brim of the water. For Jordan overfloweth all his banks all the time of harvest, that the waters which came down from above stood and rose up upon an heap very far from the city Adam, that is beside Zeratan. And those that came down toward the sea of the plain, even the salt sea, failed, and were cut off. And the people passed over right against Jericho. And the priests that bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord stood firm on dry ground in the midst of Jordan, and all the Israelites passed over on dry ground. until all the people were passed clean over Jordan. Now, pardon me, but if that doesn't sound like some type of technological device, some type of machine, some type of scientific, as I said, device, something that controls matter or space and time, or something that controls the elements, something that was specifically built, and the priests had to dress themselves up accordingly in protective garments or protective suits. You can say that priests or priesthoods or that word, it doesn't always mean religion, I guess, according to our modern day interpretations of things. Priests and priesthoods and priestcrafts or priest something can also refer to what we say as the top echelons of, bankers or scientists or military or academia or whatever. And whatever they made or built or constructed, of course, had to be built specifically, and items were placed inside a little box or a big box, and then you had to have special instruction and training to handle such devices. And the people had to stand afar off from such a device and stay within a certain distance of it, and it moved water for them, and of course other miracles too, I guess. That is just a small reading from what you would call a scripture. I guess to an extent I still have some type of testimony of those holy words. They mean something to a lot of people on this planet that are calling themselves Christians or some type of follower of God, I guess. And I look at some of these words from time to time. I don't have my LDS scriptures that I used to have and cherished for most of my life. Also because there were other mementos and things kept therein. But to me, those things can be scripture. And within certain contexts, of course, as you age and change your opinion of things and grow in other matters and other concern, you don't look at the same stories anymore as you used to. Here is other scripture as well. It is from a Lakota woman. And she wrote these words about suicide. He was found on the middle room floor in a relative's home. He had a self-inflicted wound. He was still alive, so the people there began to do what was needed to keep him alive. Authorities were being notified, immediate family was called, or at least this part of, so the next part comes from the victim. After he was able to speak and tell of his experience from his self-inflicted wound, he was standing on a riverbank, the victim, and watching the water flow. He was unsure of his situation and his surroundings. Then to his right he heard a wagon come, rocks, gravel grinding under the iron rims of the wheels. The wagon stopped. The old man and his woman acknowledged the young man, but did not look at him. The horses whinnied and snorted their uneasiness of his presence, and the dog growled his discomfort and went under the wagon to the far side of the wagon. He was told by the grandpa, which is a Lakota term for family or an older person, and a term of respect, that he could ride at the back of the wagon if he was going in their direction. Because he was not sure of where he was going, he crossed the shallow water and got in the back of the wagon. They headed east. He tried to converse with them. The dog would growl, "Arr," and the grandma would look off in the distance with tears in her eyes, and Grandpa said nothing. They came upon the village, or destination. There was laughter, squealing happy children, playing running children, people conversing, dogs barking in recognition of the approaching party. He, the young man, the self-inflicted wound of earlier, noticed all this. When they stopped, their demeanor changed. He was so excited he jumped off the wagon and he began greeting people. They turned away from him in sadness. No one would look him in the eye. Children ran to older family members and hid. Dogs cowered and growled, and the horses snorted and trembled. He walked around and was confused at the behavior of the village. Then he could smell food cooking. Oh, so many smells. He watched as food was dished up and handed out to elders, widows, husbands, children, and babies being fed. He realized he was hungry. Then the pain of what he had done came back to him. It was then that Grandpa walked up behind him, stopped beside him, and told him, "It is a bad thing you have chosen to do to yourself. You can stay here or you can go back across the river. It is not too late for you, but again, that is for you to choose. If you stay, this is how it will be. Ohenia, or always, forever. This is what you chose, and it cannot be changed until Wahan Tanka, or God, changes it. There are things about God we do not ever question. So if you eat and stay, this is your future, here, this side of the river. Or you can go back and change your life for the better." The young man looked around and saw all the happiness, harmony, peaceful atmosphere, and how he was not there. So he thanked the grandpa. He turned around and started walking back down the road in the direction he came. As he got closer to where he encountered the couple, his pain got stronger. Then he fell to his knees and he passed out. When he awoke to excruciating pain, he saw his family, his neighbors, the local fee agent, and he was hurting but happy. Everyone cried and prayed and thanked Wakantanka for giving him another chance. My mother, in writing the story, also included some things. Of course, I have to read it, but anyway. A famous man died last week. He was a man with a lot of good intentions. He inspired a lot of people. He was bluntly honest and could be so cool with sarcasm. He was never above people. Even with the wealth he acquired, he promoted a lot of fundraising and was very charitable to countries, groups, and children. I don't know how he died, and it is not up to me to judge or waste my time with the media's disrespect to him. God will be his final judge, as he will be ours. And my mother continues with this story. So I tell you this story as it was told to me by my mother, because this was a relative who lived and told her the story. I'm sure he is gone by now, and I know nothing about his life after that day. So, if we are Lakota, and if we are a Christian like we claim, let us lay aside negative thoughts and negative activity towards the world around us. In the end, we will see that all the choices are ours, and the repercussions we bring upon ourselves and our children, and that is reality in this world today. Anyway, and Mom kind of closes with some personal things in her letter and so on and so forth. These words about Lakota suicide, where this young man with his self-inflicted wound crossed over and was taken to his familial ancestral home, or at the time what he knew, which was turn of the century, early century, on a reservation, family and all around, and covered wagons, so on and so forth. That was life that he knew and what he spoke of. This silly little piece of art that I have in front of you, I did this years ago. The passage of scripture that I read to you, straight from the Bible, is scripture, and a lot of people believe these things. Something that my mother wrote from a story that was passed on to her is what I in turn read to you in somewhat halting fashion, but I hope you get the point. From someone's perspective of committing suicide or trying to do it and ending up that was the wrong fashion or wrong way to go to the other side, he would be with his people, but they would not be welcoming to him. Most would be fearful, most would be concerned about him, and you can read into that what you will. You have that freedom, you have that right. I read into it what I did. And this little piece of artwork, you can also read into it what you will. Take out of it what you see. And this is my point. I did this piece of artwork as a close-up of an iris or a close-up of an eye. The mountains that you just took a little 360-degree look at is the earth. They are what protects us. When you live on the plains, you're surrounded by mountains on one side or the other. You have trees and rivers and stuff, and you live there. The circular formation is the earth that we live upon. When you look at things up close, you see trees. And of course, if I were to fill in the eye, and you would see more trees. But I left the middle portion undone. I will fill it up later with something, and you will see later on what it will be. Take this as some sort of scripture for you or for yourself. Whether it's art, whether it is a family story, whether it is something from a book that is beloved by a lot of people and somehow still remembered by some of those that do not believe such things anymore.